As midnight approached, Wanja and Andrew arrived at the market, the once bustling place now quiet under the dim street lights. Wanja's heart pounded in her chest as they waited at the meetup spot concealed behind a line of fruit stalls. Finally, a figure emerged from the shadows. A woman wrapped in a shawl, her face barely visible. She approached cautiously, looking over her shoulder before reaching Wanja and Andrew. "I don't have much time," the woman whispered, her voice trembling. "What I'm about to tell you could get me killed." Wanja stepped closer, her hands trembling with the mixture of hope and fear. "Please tell me, what happened to my daughter?" The woman took a deep breath. "Your daughter Mumbi didn't run away. She was taken and is connected to the governor. There's a network, a secret group involved in trafficking children. They take them from poor families, children who won't be missed, and they use them. The governor is part of it." Wanja felt like the ground had fallen out from beneath her. Her worst fears were true. "But why? What do they want with my daughter?" she asked. "I don't know exactly. Sometimes they're sold off, sometimes worse." The woman looked over her shoulder again, and with fear she said, "You need to be careful. You're against very powerful people. I used to work for them. I had to tell you the truth. Take this paper. It will help you one day." Before Wanja could ask any more questions, the woman slipped away into the darkness, leaving Wanja and Andrew in stunned silence. As they stood in silence, Wanja noticed a black car parked down the market. "I think we are being followed," Wanja whispered, her breath catching in her throat. Before they could react, the car's door opened and a man stepped out. The man didn't come closer, but his presence was enough. It was a warning. "We need to leave," Andrew said urgently. "Now." They quickly left the area, fear and adrenaline coursing through their veins. It was clear now. The paper she was given was important somehow. Whoever had taken Mumbi knew Wanja was getting close, and they were prepared to stop her. Back at home, Wanja and Andrew opened the paper that the woman had given her. It had letters and locations, but they did not understand what they meant. But they knew it was somehow useful. That same night, after everyone had gone to sleep, Amanda sneaked into her father's office. She knew her father was hiding something and she had to find out what it was. As she went through his paperwork, she found something that chilled her to the bone, a list of names, all marked with dates. Mumbi's name was on the list, with a date next to it, the day she disappeared, and the place she was taken. Amanda's hands shook as she stared at the list. Her father was involved. He knew what had happened to Mumbi. Trembling, she grabbed her phone and snapped a picture of the list before carefully placing it back where she found it. She had to tell Mumbi's mother. Back in her bedroom, Amanda sent the picture to Wanja. She also called Wanja, explaining to her where her father's farmhouse was located. "Go to the farmhouse. I think Mumbi is there," Amanda said. Wanja felt hopeful. This could be the place where Mumbi and possibly other girls were being held, but they would have to be extremely careful. The farmhouse was likely guarded and they couldn't risk alarming the guards before they had a chance to act. At this time, Andrew and Wanja had gathered some people whose children had gone missing in the last year, and Andrew had contacted some of his powerful friends to help him, and together they formed a team determined to find the missing children. Andrew suggested that they first scout the location to assess the level of security. They drove out to the farmhouse pretending to be passing tourists and using binoculars to observe. The farmhouse was quiet, but there were at least 2 men patrolling the perimeter with guns. Wanja and Andrew met with the team and they devised a plan to break into the farmhouse. They decided to split into 2 groups. One group will create a distraction at the front entrance to lure the guards away, while the second group, including Wanja, will sneak around the back to search for the girls. It was a dangerous plan, but it was the best they could come up with on short notice. Wanja's heart raced with a mix of fear and anticipation. If they were successful, they will save Mumbi and the other children from unimaginable horrors. But if they failed, it could mean not only losing her daughter, but also jeopardizing the lives of everyone involved in the rescue. The night of the raid arrived. The team moved under the cover of darkness, each person taking up their position. As planned, the first group approached the front gates, making enough noise to draw the guards' attention. The guards hurried to investigate, leaving the back of the farmhouse not guarded. Wanja and Andrew and the others seized the opportunity and dashed towards the back door. It was locked, but Andrew quickly picked the lock and they entered inside. The farmhouse was dimly lit and they slowly moved down a narrow corridor. Then, they saw a small door at the corner. As they entered the small door, they saw several rooms that looked like cells, each containing a young girl. The girls were sad, tears in their eyes. The sight brought tears to Wanja's eyes. She scanned each face, desperately hoping to see Mumbi among them. "Have you seen this girl? Her name is Mumbi," Wanja whispered to the girls, showing them a photo of Mumbi. One of the older girls, barely in her teens, replied, "They took her away last week." Wanja's heart sank. Mumbi had been close, but she missed her. But Wanja knew she couldn't give up. Mumbi was out there, and she would not rest until her daughter was safely back in her arms. Wanja, Andrew, and their team quickly unlocked the cells, freeing the girls. As they left the farmhouse, the sound of shouting echoed from the front yard. The group distracting the guards had been discovered, and the guards were rushing back. Wanja urged the girls to stay quiet and move as swiftly as possible towards the woods, where a van was waiting for them to take them to safety. They managed to get to the van, and as they drove away, the guards tried to shoot, but the car sped off. The girls were taken to a safe house where they received food, blankets, and medical attention. Some of the people in the team who were looking for their children found them among the girls, and they reunited. Wanja hugged each one of them tightly, relieved to have saved their lives, but still burdened by the knowledge that Mumbi wasn't among them. She couldn't help but feel that she was racing against time and that every moment lost was a step further from finding her daughter. The next day, Wanja spent it crying and sad thinking about Mumbi. She had no clue of where to find her this time. She felt hopeless. She went down on her knees and prayed for the first time in a while. "God, please, help me find my daughter, please. I'm dying slowly without seeing my daughter, please." In the middle of her prayers, her phone rang. It was the same voice as that of the woman who had called her that night. "Meet me in the location that I've just sent to you now. We don't have much time." Wanja quickly wiped her tears and went to the team and told them about the phone call. Andrew and Wanja left immediately and went to the location the woman had sent. It was a quiet area with no buildings around. The woman was standing in front of a lorry, and Wanja felt scared because she didn't know what or who was in the lorry. The woman had a mask on this time, clearly hiding her identity. "Take this," the woman said. "This is evidence. Videos of the governor and other politicians doing illegal businesses, including child trafficking. Among these videos are videos of politicians paying the governor to have their way with some of the children. These people are evil. These people are wicked." They were chosen by the people to protect the people, but they do the opposite. I know they are evil people, but please, tell me where I can find my daughter. I am losing hope. I have no clue where to find her. Wanja said to the woman. The woman held Wanja's hands and took her at the back of the lorry and opened the doors. There were many girls in there looking terrified. Mumbi, my daughter, is that really you? Wanja said, disbelief in her eyes. Mama, it is me. I'm sorry I didn't listen to your advice that day. I knew you will come for me. Wanja helped her daughter out of the lorry and hugged her. God had answered her prayers. She was now holding her daughter. What an awesome God. Take this lorry with the children. Keep them safe and find their parents. I will take my leave. Wanja couldn't help but ask the woman, why are you doing this? Why did you help me find my daughter? Why did you help these children? The woman stepped closer and whispered, 7 months ago, I discovered I had stage 4 cancer. God has punished me for all these years I worked with those evil people doing their dirty work. I had to make it right. I don't fear about what they'll do to me because I am dying anyway. Goodbye and take those evil politicians down. I believe in you, Wanja. And with that, the woman disappeared into the bushes. Andrew and Wanja got into the lorry and went to the safe house. All this time, Wanja was holding her daughter in her laps, not wanting to let go. They went back to the safe house where the girls were given water to bathe, they were fed, and counseling began. Wanja and the team put the videos online exposing the governor's illegal activities together with other politicians. They knew it was dangerous, but they knew that the people had to know the kind of leaders they had chosen to protect them. Andrew also reached out to one of his friends at an international news station, ensuring that the story will go live across multiple platforms simultaneously, making it harder for the authorities not to act this time. Andrew also wrote the story in his newspaper and sold many copies because he experienced it firsthand. He became the top 1 newspaper company in the country. When the expose was released, it sent shockwaves through the country. The video footage and documents implicating several government officials in the trafficking ring went viral. The people were very angry and protests erupted in several cities, demanding justice for the children and the accountability from those in power. Amidst the protest, the governor attempted to deny his involvement, but the evidence was overwhelming. The pressure from the media, combined with the rising protest, forced the government to act. International organizations began calling for an independent investigation into the trafficking ring, adding even more pressure on the authorities. The governor and his associates were arrested and charged with corruption, child trafficking, and other serious crimes. They were sentenced to life in prison. The country saw Wanja as a hero for not only saving her daughter but also saving the other children and reuniting families. People online even contributed money and built her a house and a tailoring store full of sewing machines for her to keep growing her business. She employed tailors to help her with her business, and the orders she received to make garments were unbelievable. She and her team were very busy, but the journey wasn't over. Mumbi still had a long road to recovery, and Amanda's relationship with her family had been shattered. Despite the pain and betrayal, Wanja, Mumbi, and Amanda remained close. Months later, Mumbi stood at the gates of her prestigious school once again. This time, people greeted her, not just as a scholarship student, but as their hero. Amanda stood by her side, and their friendship had grown stronger. Years later, the two friends went to law school and became lawyers, their mission to help out people find justice. And now, Mumbi and Amanda weren't just friends, they were sisters, proud to have a mother like Wanja who deeply loved and cared for them. What did you learn from this story? Please tell us in the comment section. Thank you for watching.